So in this video, I'd like to show you the ship which I call the mystery tanker ship of Squadron 42, because it's prominently featured in some areas of the trailer. And I think it's the most beautiful thing I've seen in all of Squadron 42 and in especially Star Citizen. Okay, so let's take a look. Also, I've slowed down the trailer by 4 times so we can take a closer look at it. First, it appears over here. As we get closer, notice here 5 main thrusters and some type of bridge area. So it looks like a floating oil tanker. And you have this feature which looks like something just to balance out the shape. Now it's going to appear from the right to the left. And now look how beautiful the thing looks. And especially how it appears to not be filtered through that Star Citizen, that quote-unquote style of each manufacturer. It doesn't try to look like a Drake ship or like a Crusader ship or a MISC ship or an Origin ship. It's just pure functional, I like to call it sci-fi chunk. Because some of the ships that you currently get in the PU, they're actually quite beautiful. Some of the newer ships like the Raft, especially the interior. However, they all still look like children's cartoons to what you see in that oil tanker ship right now. Which means they purely went for realism. They probably told the concept artist, make it look like a floating oil tanker. And that concept artist probably concepted it without consulting the current people who do the Star Citizen manufacturing. Because if that would be a Drake ship, it would suck really bad. Because people often say that Drake is utilitarian, but I disagree with that. I think Drake ships in this game, they currently have a quality problem of the textures, especially in the lighting inside of their ships. Okay, we see a small view on the top of it. So you can see how large it is over here from the shadow of the ship and from those windows. If those are normal sized windows, that's a pretty massive oil tanker. And that looks like exactly what you would see in a liquid natural gas tanker from the top with some type of oil rig. So it looks like a refinery ship to me. Okay. See it again over here. And I'm pretty sure at some point in the game, in Squadron 42, you can actually get into a ship like that. And I'm asking myself, why can't we get that quality in Star Citizen right now? Why can't we have that in Star Citizen? We could have it, but for some reason we don't get it. Okay, let me go back a bit. I'm going to show you a screenshot of Orison. Okay, this is Orison right now. Orison itself doesn't look that bad in Star Citizen. I think it's a pretty nice landing zone. However, notice the problem here, everything looks the same. Like that same Overwatch from the game Overwatch, that Overwatch plastic. And notice the floating barges look like they're made out of the same material than the buildings are made. Now imagine in real life you would have a ship that's made out of the same bricks that the dock buildings are made of in a real life harbor today. Notice how cartoony everything looks, like it was over design language to fit into this whole plasticky appearance. It just doesn't look like a real place. And now if you go back to look at this barge and look at this thing again. Notice the surrounding area, everything is just functional, high quality sci-fi. Okay, and there's more views of that ship. As the character moves up, you will see in the passings, as the character moves up, you can see it passing through the window. And I think the developers precisely timed those video recordings for that ship to be prominently featured. See here, now it appears there's that opening in the front. You can probably see it. You see here that opening area? And this appears to be some type of dry dock area. Okay, now let's go in. Here's an amazing detail. Let me stop the screen. Look at this here. This wall piece. This looks exactly like some type of dry dock area that you would see in real life where they repair these gigantic ships. Which means they had their best artists concept and model that. Look at the beautiful curvature of that. So I'm asking myself, why can't we get that in the PU right now? And I asked that question in a video 2 or 3 days ago, and one of my viewers said that they probably have to wait for the server meshing to come in before they can add more stuff to the PU. And I think, okay, that makes sense as an argument. However, why don't they just replace most of the current trash quality assets with something like that? For example, there's hangars that you go to your ship to. Why are they looking like that? Like they look similar to that, like in structure, but notice the difference in quality here. You have the rounded shape here. Then look at the cables out on the top. Because in terms of pure polygon count, that is not many more polygons than you would get in the PU right now. So it's not a question about how much detail you can pack in a multiplayer game. See, even the cables have like those special twirly things on top of them. And we see a really nice view of the ship from the rear. Look at this. That's just beautiful functional sci-fi. Notice how the rocket engines just look exactly like you would imagine a realistic sci-fi rocket engine to look. And notice there's not a trace of trying to squeeze in some cartoonish manufacturer quote-unquote style. That's something they're desperately trying to do in Star Citizen, but you get none of that in Squadron 42, which I think leads to Squadron 42 looking much better than Star Citizen. So I'm asking, why can't we get that type of quality in the current ships in the game? Just remove that manufacturer cartoonishness from it and just pure functional sci-fi. Because I think it would be possible to do that. And here's my other worry is that what if Star Citizen will never get the quality of Squadron 42? Because my guess is these beautiful locations, you've seen those trailers for Squadron 42, they probably want to withhold them from Star Citizen so you can play them in Squadron 42 first. So so it doesn't get spoiled in the developer's perspective. Which means if Squadron 42 comes out in 2 or 3 years, we have to wait at least 2 or 3 years for anything like that to show up in the PU, if it even shows up. I think that's not a good idea because most of the financing for Star Citizen and Squadron 42 came from Star Citizen players who want a quality Star Citizen game. So they could just import that quality from Squadron 42 and put it into Star Citizen. Because that's the most beautiful ship I've seen just by looking at the re-engines of it in the entire game. Like there's no ship in the PU that comes anywhere near that. And I thought that when I saw that those engines first. I didn't even see the rest of the ship in previous frames when I looked at it for the first time. It was just, I need to have that ship just because of how beautiful it looks. And I also think this ships look particularly great because it's just detached from all that manufacturing cartoon stuff. Because when I saw those thrusters, it reminded me of concept art from a particular artist, which let me show you. This is Paul Chadesson. Is it the French name? I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. But notice he likes to make these giant all-tanker and freighter ships against the backdrop of giant space stations. And they all look like some type of oil rigs or dry docks. And if you look at the engines over here, the way they are arranged, that ship, notice here, it's just like that same functional chunk, as I like to call it. It's just... I recommend just browsing this guy's concept art. And probably you'll find at least 10 different pictures where you want that stuff to be in Star Citizen right now if you see it. Because you got that same realistic ship bridges over here like on the tanker ship in the game. And even the dry dock area, look at this. Like imagine having a ship like that in Star Citizen. No Drake, loose pipes or bad textures or origins, smooth everything, just pure function. Imagine how beautiful the game would look right now. Or imagine, for example, let me show you. There's one of my favorite pictures for this guy. And he's actually one of the concept artists for Homeworld 3. See, there's a beautiful picture that this guy made. Let me show you. Which is this one. Imagine if Origin would look like that instead of that. See if I can make the picture smaller. See the difference here? That thing is inspired by functional real-life sci-fi with It looks like a mix between a real-life oil rig and an oil tanker. And compared to the Overwatch plastic you get in here. And I think the Star Citizen developers can actually deliver that level of quality, at least in that direction, if they would only let go of that cartoony plastic stuff that's currently prevalent in the PU. Because I can see that same beauty that you see in those high-end functional sci-fi pictures, I can see in Squadron 42 all over the place. So all they should do is keep that Squadron 42 quality and port it over to Star Citizen.